Censorship is a slippery slope. If you're someone that advocates for the censorship of content that you dislike, do not complain when eventually content that you like is eventually censored. And that's exactly what is now happening with this reveal in the last 24 hours. And there's a lot I want to cover today. Obviously, this post that you can see on screen, but I also want to talk about Discord being exposed for what their actual intentions were and are their intentions for their age verification globally. And then also kind of what's going on with the UK government and how they are doing the exact same thing that Discord's doing, what Germany is doing, etc. There is a lot I want to cover in this video, but let's start with what I started with at the beginning of this video, which is this. Censorship escalates across the EU. New posts flagged as sensitive content are no longer visible on user profiles within certain EU countries, European Union. Previously, these posts would still appear with a restricted label. Now they are removed entirely from the profile view with no notice or warning. Testing in France, Ireland, and Belgium produced the same outcome. When accessing the platform from outside the EU, the posts reappear and remain fully accessible. And so what is more or less going on for a synopsis here is that for a time period, for the last 6 or 7 months, as you know, there's been a rampant increase of censorship on social media and on the internet. Twitter in particular, they started to go heavy on the censorship. For instance, depending on whatever words you type with an image, could instantly flag the image if you're in a European country and cause the entire post to be restricted. And even if it's a perfectly innocent post, there's nothing wrong with it, doesn't show anything, it will straight up become completely restricted. And in this case, that has been something that has been getting worse by the months for the last half year. And now it seems like the EU has escalated this censorship to a higher degree to now that it's not just restricted to where you can click show more to actually see what the post says, but now you just cannot see the post in its entirety. So, more or less, this doesn't obviously just talk about adult content. A lot of people might think, okay, it's most likely NSFW content, 18 plus content, that is getting these type of tags. But that's actually extremely far from the case. You have people that talk about certain viewpoints and politics or whatever that instantly get flagged and also get completely censored and restricted. And so in this case, if these posts are getting restricted, that's not necessarily just adult content, then they're not appearing anymore. People cannot see them in these European countries, which straight up what this means is that this is restriction on freedom of speech and expression, not just art, but just freedom itself of being able to talk about what you want to talk about and relay your personal opinion. It's really bad. This entire situation is the continued escalation and domino effect that I have been talking about for a long time now. And there's been a lot of people for a while now that has memed on me and has called me like a doom poster, and I over-exaggerate about the censorship of the internet and what's going on with the EU, what's going on with the UK, what's going on in the United States, Australia, Canada. People have said I'm a doom poster and I'm overreacting, but here it is. The domino effect is continuing, and the slippery slope continues to prove itself that it's actually real. It's really just a very bad day for the internet because obviously this isn't just related to, let's say, X or Twitter. This is going to, by extension, extend to the entirety of the internet. For instance, this is the trial run. If the EU is already doing something like this, they're already forcing these type of restrictions to where if something gets labeled, you can no longer see it anymore, regardless if you're an adult or not. This is going to extend to everything on the internet, and there's already many examples of this already happening, which I think is a perfect segue to talk about the exposure of what happened to Discord. So, as we all know, Discord made an announcement last week that they were going to now go headfirst into forcing age verification through face scanning technology and a digital ID to be able to, you know, basically gather information to assume if you're an adult or not. And I've already went in depth on why this is a bad idea and parents need to actually parent instead of relying on Big Daddy government or these different services to do the parent's job. It should be the parent at the end of the day that does it. But the point of the matter is that there's been a lot of controversy controversy around a lot of conversation, and Discord has really kind of put their feet in the ground and said they're going through with it regardless of if you dislike them or not. And will this blow back on them, and will they lose people on their service? Who knows? But as I already mentioned last week, if there isn't significant amount of loss of their base that use their platform, then what that necessarily means is that Discord is going to get away with it, and other services will just implement the exact same thing on their platform as well. And so eventually you can expect the entirety of the internet to require some form of face scan or digital ID just to be able to access, let's say, a game forum, just to be able to access Reddit, just to be able to access a Wikipedia page, to find out information on history or whatever. You have to do a face scan or show your license to some degree. And obviously that's a very dark and dystopian thought, but we are getting close to that. And people are trying to deny and act like it's not happening, but it is happening. It's 100% happening, and it's before our eyes, and it's escalating and getting worse day by day. And this is not even me doom posting. We literally see the ramifications of this, and I want to get into this post, actually. So this post in particular here, you had hackers that got upset with, Discord, and basically trying to force age verification and all that, and they managed to get into this, company called, Persona, which is what Discord was working with to run their age verification program for face scanning and also digital ID. Now, it was announced like 2 days ago. I'm going to pull up the article here. I'm just going to completely pull up the article. It was announced that Discord pulled away from Persona. They dropped them, but they're working with a different group at this time. However, I want to point something out about what was revealed by these hackers allegedly getting into the system and finding out what Persona was going to actually do with your age verification information, like your actual government-issued ID. So here's exactly what they were going to do with your information. Beyond offering simple services to estimate your age, Persona's exposed code compares your selfie, for instance, if you did a face selfie, to watch list photos using facial recognition, screens you against 14 categories of adverse media from mentions of terrorism to espionage, and tags reports with code names from active intelligent programs consisting of public-private partnerships to combat online child exploitation material, cannabis trafficking, fentanyl, all sorts of different other things, romance fraud, money laundering, and this sounds all good and well on paper, but they're legitimately, what they're doing is they're running your face against the AI program, these different systems to determine if you're basically a terrorist. They're pretty much saying, you're a terrorist, that's why we have to scan you, and it's legit kind of horrifying to think about. This is what they're doing with your information, and they even have code names for when they put you in their system and tags. That's insane. Like, this is insane. Now, I want to once again reinstate this, that Discord has decided to not go through with working with Persona, but it doesn't matter. That this was who they were working with till they were called out for it. And so who's to say that the new people they're working with aren't going to do the exact same thing? And there is credibility to this is going to happen, and let's shift over to the next point. We got this right here. The British government wants to scan everyone's photos before they're sent. Tech Secretary Liz floated blocking potentially NSFW images, which means government-mandated client side scanning on your device before encryption. So more or less to summarize, as soon as you send a picture, I'm assuming on social media, or scan it to access something, they scan this photo, and if there's any form of explicit content on it, it's instantly censored and not allowed to be sent. Now, obviously, in general, this sounds like a good thing, but it's also an invasion of privacy. You have these systems invading your phones. This is obviously an invasion of privacy, and I think that this is definitely going to lead to leaks and people potentially getting exposed and stuff if this is allowed to actually happen. This is a very scary future, and you can see that the technology that Persona's using, the UK government's just being outright honest that they're going to do the exact same thing to you. And then this is an extension of what I talked about, how the EU is blocking restricted content entirely on social media. You can't even see stuff anymore. And then we also have Germany, which we got to talk about this one as well. Germany has joined the growing list of EU nations that are considering banning children from social media. Australia has banned youths from social media since December, and this example has lessons for EU governments. Now, once again, I've talked about this topic a lot, and I'm going to say it again. When these governments, these politicians say think of the children to protect children, they don't really care to protect children. It is a way for them to put a Trojan horse in front of your door to get these laws passed to restrict your freedom. And we've already seen this happen with what's going on in the UK. And that's exactly what's going on here. Because if you tried to challenge something like this, if you tried to say, look, I don't like you doing this, what they will respond with is, why do you not want to protect kids from the internet and seeing bad things? And that completely derails any type of backlash or commenting on what this is or how wrong it is, because you're going to legitimately cause mass censorship and exposing people's identities. It's going to be just bad in general. It's not meant to actually protect kids. It won't. It's going to be misused. And so it's really scummy how they're using this tactic to be able to push these laws through the door and kind of get away with it. And that's why they've been able to get away with it so long, and why we've gotten even to this point is because people get instantly silenced if they try to fight back against it. So it's actually just straight up a very bad situation, and I can't believe how much this has escalated in just like 7 months. Like 7 months ago, it was nowhere near this level of bad, but here we are now at, 7 months. I cannot imagine what's going to be like at the end of this year for the internet if this does not have significant pushback. But I want to leave it at that. I just wanted to bring this news to everybody's attention on what's going on, because I like to keep everybody in the know. I know it isn't necessarily good news, but it is important to be aware of what's going on in these countries. And just because you don't live in one of these countries doesn't mean it's not going to affect you. Once again, Discord. It's global now. Thanks to what the EU has done in the UK and stuff, Discord is now going forward with affecting everybody globally. So, this affects everyone. Stop thinking it's just one specific country. I'll leave it at that, though. I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.